We spoke the last time how painful it is to grow, and we exposed our own experiences to come up with a solution or an idea of how to overcome that and how to become that strong and how to gain the power of change. But I believe very few people stop and ask what that power will reveal once they finally get it. The power that they get in will not increase the options to succeed or to heal, but will also increase exposure to who they are, magnifies the discipline they might not have. It could create ego and boost the ego. It can magnify in wounds and pain. And if your character is weak, the power that you're seeking will not protect you. It will expose you in front of everyone, including yourself. That is the most dangerous part. So the same power that you pray for sometimes can become the very thing that destroys your peace, corrupts your judgment, damages your relationships, and ruins the life that you work so hard to build. Today, we're going to talk about that power, and if you stay with us, you will learn from us and from our experience how to maximize the opportunity, how to maximize this power, how to have less pain, how to use this power to amplify who you want to be, and how you can work with your own self-image. So why people want so much power, Sandra? Why that matters? What do you think is this?
Because ego has a very distorted image of reality, and it's important to understand that I have heard some people say, oh, there's good ego, and good ego is not good at any kind of reference. You can say, oh yeah, because I dress up for my ego. I'm like, no, you dress up for self-image and self-confidence, which is very different from ego. Ego is the exact opposite of everything that you can do to self-grow, self-create, self-image, and to change your identity.
How can one use that power that is within and change their life and change the outcomes? Is it discipline? Is it knowledge? Is it coaching? What is it?
Say that it is very important that we have a person that walks with us through the path and a person that understands about it, not your best friend. I would definitely think a coach, a therapist, a person that's knowledgeable. And because sometimes the process is very complicated and has a lot of ramifications, right? Like my therapist used to say, the if then. That if then is a very powerful exercise because that's a way to replace the power of, to replace words. That's the power of words. So if instead of saying at the very beginning, you're going to have to lie to yourself, but the brain won't know if you're lying or if it's the truth. You do, the brain won't. So if you wake up saying, I had nightmares and I slept really bad, and I text you in the morning and I say, Miguel, I slept horrible. I got the worst nightmare. It was so bad. I'm so anxious. Well, you shouldn't be dealing with that in the first place, but it'll make you more anxious. It'll make me more anxious, sorry. But if I wake up, maybe I'm not gonna lie to myself and say, oh, it's perfect. Why don't you sit and be grateful? If you slept horrible, be grateful because you have a bed. Be grateful because you woke up today. Be grateful because you have a job. That will automatically start changing the physiology of the thought, right? But you have to have discipline. Even to do that, you have to have the discipline of waking up and not scrolling, right? Because if you wake up and you're still half asleep and you're still like with eyes closed and you look at the phone, it's like,
It
right?
is something, Sandra, that I don't want to go unnoticed, and whomever is listening to this, right? It is how you can inflict pain. How can you inflict this pain, unnecessary pain, and not taking care of yourself? And how, yes, we understand the growth is painful and it's a necessary pain, right? Growth is something that demands separation, in my opinion. We need to leave behind our old habits, our old excuses, our old emotional patterns, right?
Then we become aware of that. Then we need to tame that. The only way to tame it is with self will. I'm not saying that you have to white knuckle it. Sometimes we do have to white knuckle it and Go through the process because the ego is going to be tough. But because if I have an addiction to eating Twinkies and I just can't stop, the moment that I try to stop but I continue, the ego will say, "See, Sandra, it's because you're a fatty. You're a failure. You are not gonna be able to do it anyway, right?" So that's why we need to have a support circle help something. So having sleep hygiene is number one for anything you do. Remember, get up in the morning and have the power of getting up. We have talked about the cortisol peak. That's why you might wake up anxious or a little bit shaky. So, how do you contrarrest that? Sit on your bed and say, "Thank you, I'm grateful." Get up, drink water, look at yourself in the mirror instead of saying, "I look horrible." Say, "Thank you, I love you," to the person in the mirror because that's the person that makes it happen with you. And then move your body. Go out for a walk. Go down for a swim. Do yoga exercises. There's so many things that you can do. And then take a shower, get ready, make your bed. That's important. Get organized. If you can afford it, have help around the house. But that what I just told you is the power of discipline. Let's keep it simple. Be grateful. Like honestly, keep it simple. Be grateful. The power of gratefulness, the power of words is everything. Everything. So when you wake up in the morning, be grateful. Before you start working, be grateful. In one of my alarms on my phone, my main alarm says start my beloved coaching. The moment that I label it beloved, it's because I adore it. It's something that's important to me. If I put that alarm, start to work, right? That would be the thing. So, the power of simple words. Let's keep it simple. Let's go deep, not wide. Be grateful. Be grateful. Be grateful. Be grateful, but from the heart.
That old version of you, the ones felt safe. And that is so important that people will listen to what you were saying because it's not weakness and it's not solved with power. It's solved with identity and discipline, right? Because that's what is this all about, right? Everybody wants the next level. I don't know anybody that wakes up and says, "I want to be a failure today. I'm going to go and get fired. I'm going to go and lose money." What people don't understand, I'm going to talk as a business person, is there is no rainbows and unicorns every day. It's not. And you're not always making money or not always losing money. But because you love and you're grateful, that's the word that I want people to highlight, grateful for the opportunity to be here today, for the opportunity that you have in your hands to help somebody or to help yourself, right?
If we want to lose weight, we need to change how we eat, how we move, how we sleep, how we hydrate. What are our habits? What are our skills? What's our routine there? So, awareness, we name it, tame it, and we execute on it. But you need discipline, not motivation, discipline. And discipline is doing the hard thing every single time because the universe doesn't care about how you feel, sorry. And people don't care how you feel, honestly, not in the long run. So you have to
They
do
don't,
it.
and the market doesn't care. I believe many people do not chase that power, Sandra, because they're ready for the responsibility. I believe they chase the power because they're trying to escape the pain. Could be right. They want money because they think that will silence that insecurity that is exposed by the things that they don't have. They want that status because they want to feel important. We're seeing that. They want that influence that the power will give them because they will give them the validation, right? They want that authority because they maybe don't know how to feel their own value. And without that power, they don't have that authority. And that's what I think that power becomes very dangerous and egocentric, right? Because that power becomes an emotional medicine, drug, an addiction, and stop you from being smart and make smart decisions because you seeking the wrong things. And that really hides your weaknesses, that hide the fear that you live in, they hide your emptiness, they hide the wounds that you might never learn how to face. And when that happens, that power does not heal any pain. That will magnify that pain. It becomes like a microphone, like a megaphone, right? And that's what so many successful, powerful people are very unhappy and unstable, right? Because that's where this so precious thing that we look at becomes an addiction, not a medicine. And it becomes a very dangerous place to live when someone lives that in that, right? So I don't believe power makes you stronger. I believe it actually can make you very weak. But if you add discipline because you have the power to do it, that's what power becomes clean, like a
Exactly.
clean energy, right? And
Exactly.
that discipline is the buffer who makes this energy to grow into pride and self. Don't be selfish and avoid making poor decisions, and you trust your self-image and you're more secure, and then you stop eating those Twinkies and say, you know what, I don't gonna hurt myself anymore. I'm gonna become healthier, not prettier or more accepted. And that avoids that unnecessary damage that we are self-inflicting. So this discipline that we talk about, this non-negotiable discipline, the self-image of yourself driven by actions, how one can develop that discipline is by creating routines, by being productive